everybody. Welcome to Millionaire Minds, Season 2. And we have a powerful guest today. Our guest is the Honorable Sir John Swan. Thank you for being here, sir.
Pleasure to be here.
And before we get started into how you built your empire, I just want to say to you that you're an inspiration to me personally. I grew up hearing about you in the business sector and just being a leader in the community. And I just want to express that I look to you for a lot of inspiration. And so first thing I want to ask is, how did you build your empire? What started you off as an entrepreneur?
Well, I think what started me off was the fact that I learned to be very humble. And why did I learn to be very humble? Because I was born visually impaired. I have 30% vision in this eye and 50% vision in this eye, and I'm dyslexic. So I had to figure out how to get things done, and I found out that the way to get things done, even with any defect, is ask other people to help you. And it was the help of other people that put me to where I am. And that is that when you're humble, you ask for help, and you listen, learn to listen, and you listen to learn. And so because I was visually impaired, I learned to listen, and I learned by listening. And by using what I heard, I was able then to build on that pyramid to a stage where I was able to become effective. And then instead of, what I discovered was that regardless of who that person was or not just people, it could be even animals, that always taught you something. I had pigs when I grew up, and I got to understand what pigs were like. I had goats. And when I got older, I had people I had to manage. I had one time had 18 contractors. We didn't have any computers. I had to have everything and retained everything in my head, what money I owed them, what they had to do in order to get the projects going. And that's when I was building 40% of the homes on the island. And so it was that evolution getting through school, getting help from my teachers, getting help from my parents, getting help from other people outside. So when I found myself in the bigger world, particularly when I returned to Bermuda in 1960, I realized I had to get to know everybody, whether they were black, white, rich, or poor. I had to get to know everybody. So I immersed myself into the community so I'd have all sorts of resources to call upon. And with that objective, when you're in the real estate business, you're really the only black in the business. You know that there's white prejudice and they don't want you to sell real estate to blacks in their neighborhoods. You had to find ways in which you gain their confidence and convince them that was nothing wrong with it. And so, but you have to do it quietly. You can't go out and be boastful about it and make a lot of noise about it. And so, really, if you're an entrepreneur, what you have to do is open yourself up to the whole of the community. Don't restrict it to any part of it. I think what happened with the black community, it catered to the black communities themselves, but when the white supermarkets came along and the bigger stores came along, what happened? They left those small little stores, they went to bigger stores, and the small stores closed down. Today we only have 2 major black businesses in Bermuda. We have Brown & Co., that's commercial businesses, and People's Pharmacy. One time we had all sorts of businesses in Bermuda. So the point I'm making is that you have to sort of market your product, stay in touch with a broad range of people that will come and use your product, and you have to be prepared to almost sometimes step aside from the normal run-of-the-mill activity that you see out there that will pull you in and cause you to feel as though that somehow or the other you want to join the pack. And I've never been a pack joiner. I've been a person who's constantly preserving myself to make the most of the opportunities that are presented to me. And so I always had one philosophy. If you're using me to do things, I have to find a way in which I get some benefit from it too. And not only get the benefit, but more importantly, is to make sure I put something aside that when the benefits don't come, I can survive. And what happens is people get caught up in, I just made some money so I can go and spend it. And then when the money isn't available, they go back to where they started from, and that's what's happened to so many businesses. When I started out in 1962, there were must be about 8 or 10. But by 1964, 65, there must have been 8 or 10 black real estate companies. But they made some money, and then they went ahead and did other things, moved off, took trips to the Caribbean, took this and that, or got involved with politics, and the end result is they lost sight of their primary objective was, when they first started out, was to be something. We had an insurance company, Atlantic Western. They did the same thing. Everybody seemed to have lost sight of why they were there and what they had to do. So in a business, you need to have a product that you find acceptable. You have to stay focused on defining what that product is, defining what your client base is, defining what you need to do to make sure that you keep your inventory relevant and current. You need to take and make sure that you are priced right. And you have to make sure, more importantly, is that you are given the type of service that people want. Not what you think they should have, but what they think they should have. And I think that way people come and support you.